Hey, what's up, guys? Karam's Reef, and today we are going to be doing a tank tour. I'm extremely grateful to have the opportunity to be able to come by Angel's house and check out his beautiful tank. And I actually have Angel here. He'll be able to give us a rundown. And yeah,
Yeah, this is my 150 gallon tank. It's been up for almost 2 years. And I like mixed reef tanks. I've had as big as 415 gallon acrylic tank and as small as 32 gallon biocubes and
yep.
those kind of things. So uh, this is my tank.
That's beautiful. And you've said that this is your goal is a mixed reef tank. You've accomplished that. It looks really nice. But I want to go ahead now and ask you, what are some of the corals that you have in the tank?
I've got I've got Gorgonians in there. I've got a lot of SPS. I really do like SPS. My favorites are the Home Wrecker
Yep.
in the middle there, the purple stylo at the top up there. It's a little pissed off right now. I had a hermit crab crawl across the top of it. So, but yeah, I really do like SPS. I've got a pagoda cup coral here, which is one of my favorites. I've had I had a tank crash, unfortunately, years ago, and I had a pagoda cup coral that was about that big
Wow.
in that tank. It was a 250 gallon tank, and it was a beautiful, beautiful coral. Um, I've got gold hammer over there, a little bit of everything, a little bit of everything. SPS, LPS.
Yeah, a mixture, and it definitely brings out, the colors in the tank. Now, what would you say that, you've placed these corals based on the lighting, based on the wave makers?
Actually,
Was there
more for color.
right,
I like
right.
coral, try and spread out the colors some,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and try and accentuate different parts of the tank with just colors. You got to keep in mind, what corals like as well, how much lighting they like, how much flow they like. So you got to take that into consideration. But I like to try and place things where it kind of draws your eyes to that side and this side. And
I agree
um,
with you. I agree with you. That's, it's an art.
hmm hmm
It's a piece of art in your home. That's awesome. Now, what are some fish here? What do what are some must-have fish? Did you choose these fish as
yeah,
key?
absolutely.
Yep.
I have some task specific fish, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
I have my blue streak cleaner wrasse over there. He's coming across the tank there,
Yep.
and he is a purpose fish. He loves to pick at other fish. If you've got any parasites or anything like that, the blue streak cleaner wrasse is definitely a good fish for that. Tangs, normally you got to have tangs. They pick at algae all day long.
Right.
My copper band, I did have when I first set this tank up. I did have some aptasia, and my copper band took care of those. So definitely a must-have there. We got a couple sand sifters in there too, so they're definitely good for that.
That's awesome. And like you said, tangs they'll always pick at algae in the tank. And I've heard this somewhere. They call them the cows
Hmm
of reef keeping
Yeah,
because they're constantly just picking at rocks and the glass. Wrasses are a must.
absolutely.
They just they bring in the colors. I see your leopard, I see your cleaner wrasse,
hmm
and they're amazing. Your Antheus, just adding the coloration and the copper band, I absolutely love that. Now, how long have you had the copper band for?
I'm almost 2 years now.
Wow.
He's probably my fourth one. I've always loved copper bands. I've never had a whole lot of luck with them. And this one came from my 120 to this tank, and it's been doing great. It's been doing great. eats frozen, which is a great thing. But I keep pods. I also keep a ton of pods in here. Shout out to my boy Morgan.
Yeah,
I get my
Morgan.
pods and
Yep.
my Fido from Morgan, so shout out to him for that. And so, yeah, definitely one of my favorite fish.
Morgan's pods and Fidos always, top notch.
Yeah.
Different cultures, different types of pods, and so you do replenish usually with
Yep.
pods.
Yep.
Now,
Yeah.
do you run a refugium?
I do.
Hmm.
I do. Um, it's the strangest thing is with my 120, my macroalgae, I use Kato.
Hmm.
My macroalgae was always, I had to harvest it about every 3 weeks. In this tank, not as much. It grows really, really slow in this tank, so it's interesting the differences in it from a 120 to 150. Not really sure what is going on there, but I'm not harvesting as much.
I see, like, I'm in the same spot as well. My Chato is uh, s- comes in and off, in and
Right.
off, where every month I'm able to harvest it, and then sometimes every 2 weeks. Well, thank you so much, Angel. You have an amazing selection of fish. You have great coloration when it comes to corals. Now, I do want to go a little bit more in depth with the tank.
Okay.
How long has it been up and running for? And just a little bit of rundown.
Okay. Yeah, this tank's been running up almost 2 years now. I upgraded from 120 gallon. As far as filtration, I like a lot of rock.
Yeah.
So I have rock in the main in the drain, um, coming down from the overflows, and then into a skimmer, refugium, and then UV through my return pump. So I try and do a lot of filtration.
I like that, especially with live rock.
Hmm.
It's the best thing that you could add into a reef tank.
Hmm.
Now, what are your lightings? Your go-to lighting? How's your experience with that?
I'm a big fan of aqualumination, the AIs. I have AI 32s on this tank, AI 16s on my peninsula tank. So I'm a really big fan of them. I like their adjustability and those kind of things. Actually, going to probably start playing with the Apex module to be
Yeah.
able to control them through my Apex.
Now, LEDs have a huge improvement in our industry. We've went from metal halides to T5s, and now we have LEDs. It's amazing to see that you have been able to master the LEDs, and so give you huge props to that. Now, when it comes to flow, what's your go-to?
I've always used just straight, pumps. Directional pumps.
Mhm.
I've been playing here with the gyres that I've got in here now, and I'm really liking the gyres. Just the flexibility that you have with them. You can change flow patterns in them. You can change the direction of on either side, so you can have one going up, one blowing down, and that's how I have that middle one in there. So I really do like that, and also just found out that Apex has a module that you can use that to kind of control those as well. So that's the one thing about this hobby is there's so many different things that as you continue to research and learn, you can always improve on and change up. So
Correct. Yeah, and you just slowly start to pick up on certain things. Um, Gyres are beautiful things that have come to this
mhm.
hobby, mainly because they've added a different way to add flow into your
Yep,
tank.
yeah.
You've had your single pump whether it's MP40s
Hmm.
or AIs, where it's a straight flow, but
Right.
now you've expanded it with gyres, and I absolutely like that. Now you've talked about the apex. Do you how do you use see the apex in this tank? Like, Is it making your life a lot easier, maintaining the tank? And just, do you have certain equipment on the Apex that have really helped you?
Yeah, I definitely love the Apex. This is I've got the newest one now, but I started with the original
Yeah.
Apex, and I control everything with it. I think I only have one thing plugged that's not plugged into an Apex. I have two dosing pumps, two Apex dose that I use for my calcium, alkalinity, magnesium. I have my heaters on it. And I keep the heaters on an Inkbird, so just in case, the Inkbird fails, the Apex picks it up.
Right.
So, yeah, everything. My return pump, UV, everything is controlled by the Apex. I do. I'm a novice when it comes to like programming some of those things or coding, but I've been able to, if the tank temperature goes up, you turn off the UV, you turn off the heaters,
Right.
and things like that. So that's what I like about it. Plus, no matter where I'm at, it's on my phone. I can check
Exactly.
everything and those kind of
Exactly.
things.
And that's the thing that I love about them so much is that you're able to control it wherever you are, and it gives you an insight about your tank, and it's awesome. It's awesome to hear that you have been able to use it, and gives you a better way to reef.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I was traveling and my girlfriend called me and said, "Hey, the tank's making noise." So I was able to turn the sump light on, and she was like, "Oh, the light just came on." I said, "That was me." Now I
yeah,
can say,
you
"Okay,
were
turn the camera around and kind of look at things." And so, that's it's just a great tool.
right. That's amazing. Now, Angel, walk me through some of the things that you do on a weekly basis or monthly basis on your reef tanks.
I stare at it daily.
Look at that.
That's one of the things. I've been in the hobby for a long period of time, and some of the guys that have been around for a while, they can tell you they'll look at the corals and say, "Hey, something's off," because you
Right.
can see the way the corals are reacting and things like that. But I do weekly water changes. Depending on how things look, will determine how much water I do. But I test on a weekly basis. I use the HANA checkers for everything. And kind of just adjust my dosing based on what my test results are.
Right. And
And I
that's
love the BRS, the calculators on BRS,
yep, yep.
because it can tell you how much to add and change and all that kind of good stuff if it's low and things like that.
I'm really glad that you brought that up because it's a feature where you can select certain products that you dose and you can calculate.
Yep.
It tells you exactly
Yeah.
how much to add, and if you use that, I mean, you're pretty spot on with dosing. And then I also really like that you said, you look at the corals. They give you a lot of insight, especially the corals that you've had the longest in your tank,
Hmm.
because if they're closed up or if they are losing a little bit of their coloration, it tells you so many different things,
Yep.
and so you start to test, and you can adjust from there. That's amazing. Now, do you do any ICP testing or any of trace elements?
I have not. I use trace elements on my peninsula tank.
Okay.
I like to experiment with different things. I don't like to experiment with too much on one tank,
Right.
but the luxury of having a couple of tanks is you can try different things on different
Correct.
tanks and see what works. But I am interested in doing that ICP test. I've seen a couple guys on Richmond Reefers on Facebook that have definitely tried it and got some really good information out of it.
Right. Yep. It does. I mean, expands the testing range. That because we at home we test for calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, nitrates, and phosphates. But then when you expand that, you learn so much more about your tank, and that's where you start to do different testing with trace elements. But with water changes, you're reintroducing them, and
Yep.
so
Yep.
that's the key point. And that's amazing to see. Now, do you run a carbon reactor or
I don't.
GFO?
I do run GFO. Phosphates tend to run a little high in my tanks, which may not be too bad of a thing.
Right.
But I do run GFO to kind of keep them under control. But that's all I do. I don't. The only time I ever run carbon is if I've had to medicate or something looks off or
Fair.
something like
Yep.
that. I'll run carbon for like a day or two to just kind of polish it.
Right.
Or if the water looks a little cloudy or what have you, I will run carbon for that. But I don't run carbon on a consistent basis. I don't run filter socks. I think filter socks to me are a lot of maintenance.
I just removed mine out. I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah,
They just it's like you said, it's another thing that you have to worry about for
yeah.
maintenance,
Hmm.
and it just it's constant.
Yeah.
But now, so you have focused a lot on understanding your numbers when it comes to phosphates, nitrates. Uh, I've been trying to keep mine on the lower side, and I've seen a lot of people online that have actually had a lot of success keeping theirs on the higher end.
Hmm.
Where do you prefer to stay?
Ah, like I said, mine tends to run a little higher,
Hmm.
and I don't like it to get too way out of whack. I'm a heavy feeder.
I like, yep,
You can see my fish are nice and healthy, so
yeah,
I'm a heavy feeder. So my phosphates tend to run a little bit higher, and that's why I continue to do the GFO on it.
right. Now, do you feed your corals?
I do not. I have the BRS pellets
Hmm.
that I feed that has a feeder that comes on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and kind of feeds the pellets. The pellets have been told have a coating
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
that are really good for the coral. So I've been trying that. Like I said, I'm a heavy feeder. I do brine shrimp, mysis, reef frenzy when I come home from work, and I do that for all of my tanks. And so that's really all I do. Um, I have thought about target feeding, but my corals are doing
Yeah.
fine,
Yep.
so I don't really. They don't get target fed in the wild.
They
So
exactly,
yeah.
and it just seems like you would spend hours in here trying to feed every single coral.
Hmm.
And I so do you run your AFS, your auto feeder, once a day?
Yep, I run it
Okay.
once a day at 1 o'clock. Every day at 1 o'clock, and
Hmm.
then when I come home, I feed the frozen.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I know exactly what you're talking about with the pellets. They have the coating
Hmm.
for the coral food. I think they sell it. It's mainly because of the actual unit for auto
Yes.
feeding. Yep,
Hmm.
for Apex.
Yep.
And they, just it's great to have. It feeds everything when you're away, and especially with your anthias too.
Hmm.
Um, uh, them being extremely active all the time,
Yep.
they need to be extremely fat and healthy.
Hmm. And
Um,
I like to try, different types of foods too. Like sometimes I'll feed flakes. Sometimes I'll get, different types of pellets and things like that. So I'll change it up every now and then. As a matter of fact, when I got home today, I fed them flake food, and I mean they devoured it within minutes. So I'll probably do frozen
yeah,
before I go to bed or before they go to bed. So.
I like that. Different types of foods that you feed,
Hmm.
and it's so you don't keep feeding them the same thing
Right.
over and over again every day. Now, what's your favorite fish in here?
I've got a couple actually. I've got a pair of mandarins,
Yeah, yeah.
psychedelic mandarins. I have a male and a female in there, which I mean the colors on them things are beautiful. The way they swim, um, love them. My copper band, I love my copper band. I've tried to keep them for a long time, and so
Yep.
now that I've got one that's been around for a while, and surprisingly enough, my leopard wrasse,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got him in a tank breakdown from a friend of mine, and never ever thought about having a leopard wrasse, but he's turned out to be one of my favorites, and I think my Anthias um,
Yep.
are just amazing because I started with 3 females and then one converted to a male. So to be able to see that in
The
your tank and
process, yeah.
happen, and that whole process is amazing. So
That is, I mean, I'm waiting on seeing that change between the Amethyst. I mean, it's something that you never are able to see it.
yeah,
So that's extremely nice to be able to see the change. And those mandarins, I did see them go by the tank. They look absolutely beautiful. There's a pair of them.
yeah. There's my male
Yep.
right there. The
Yep,
male's
yep.
right there.
And that's amazing to see them. And the copper band adds in a lot of character. And I've just I feel like now with a lot of research and a lot of people that are keeping them, we're expanding the lifespan of them
Oh,
in the
absolutely,
aquarium
absolutely agree.
industry. So that's really, and you could see it. I mean, it's constantly looking to eat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's there's a lot of places now that are selling the captive bred.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
matter of fact, my yellow tang came from a captive bred, and some folks say you can tell the difference. Like a yellow tang is a little bit paler if it's captive bred versus wild caught, and
Correct. Yeah.
mine was originally kind of pale. But I mean, now you can't tell the difference between a wild cat and a captive bred. Now his color is very vibrant.
Absolutely, you can't tell whatsoever, and that's the thing. You just as they mature, as they grow, they'll change. And yellow tangs are one of the essential fish
Yeah.
that a lot of people get in the hobby. And so seeing them being captive bred, seeing the copper band being captive bred, and even wrasses now,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's I mean, clownfish has always been the number one leading in captive bred, but now seeing all these different fish, it's really nice to see that, and a huge advance in the hobby.
I think one thing that I really like to do my lighting schedule is I like to come home and still be able to see the tank. A
Hmm.
lot of folks, their tanks are, mimicking regular sunlight and
Right.
that sun cycle, that light cycle. My tank comes on around 8 o'clock in the morning, and then comes off at 10. So I run a long light cycle. My lights ramp up over a 3 hour period. They ramp up and then they ramp down at night. And I also run lunar lights. I've noticed that at night, if you come through the tank and it's dark, all the fish are hiding.
Yep.
But if you're running lunar lights, you'll see some activity. Some of the fish that like to kind of swim around at night, you're able to see some of the critters that come out at night, which is really neat. And it's just like a whole new, different perspective
Right. Right.
of the tank at night.
I mean, I love that. You're able to set your lights to when you come back home, and kind of allow it to when you're back home, you're able to also be active with the tank and do some things, work around it. And the actinic lighting is a huge thing that I think some LED companies or some LEDs may just not run it.
Right.
And so being able to add that gives the fish a little bit more of some lighting for them to be active during the nighttime.
Yeah.
Now, Angel, I know that you are extremely active in the Richmond community. You also do set up tanks for
I do. Yeah, I do.
schools
Yeah.
and other hobbyists. And so, what is something that you love, kind of love doing, and every time that you are out setting up tanks?
I love looking at the fish. That's one thing. I think my favorite part of the hobby is the build. When you're putting it together, aquascaping, choosing the fish, picking corals. I think that part is my favorite. Although I love to sit in front of my tank and stare at it, I think that part of it is.
Right.
But I also like the camaraderie. When you get a bunch of fish people talking about their aquariums, it's just you learn so many different things from everybody. So it's really kind of nice. Um,
Brings it all together.
yeah,
Right.
I don't get a chance to, like Chris Wooten,
Right.
you know, one of my favorite coral guys. Just picking his brain sometimes, but going over to his shop and picking out corals. And I know I've spent more money sometimes than I want to, but he's got a great selection. Um, you know, Aquarium Pro, Scott over Aquarium Pros in Bon Air, he has got some really nice fish selection. I think probably one of the best fish selections that you can get
Around here, yeah.
around here. Yeah, so if you've not been out there, definitely go check him out. Um, you know, it's I'll use him for corals, or I'm sorry, I'll use him for fish at the schools and the
Hmm.
tanks that I maintain. Um, and so he's just a great guy to work with.
That's you know, Chris is one of my go-tos, mainly because he's 10 minutes away.
Oh, nice, nice.
But he's also, you know, every time you go there, you know, you guys talk, you every tank is filled with
Yeah,
corals, extremely healthy and reasonable.
yeah, oh
When it
yeah,
comes
definitely.
to pricing and just understands
Yeah, and
different sides.
he's a regular aquarium hobbyist just like
Correct.
us, you know, and he's really a good guy, really down to earth.
Correct.
Um,
And you know, I'm so glad that you mentioned Aquarium Pros, mainly because you know, here and there after work, I do visit the store. Now Scott is the owner,
yeah,
but also see Robert there
yeah, yeah, Robert,
constantly.
yeah,
Yeah, and you know, you show up, and it's just amazing to have that interaction. They have great selection of fish and corals. They've expanded the shop now,
yes,
added
yeah, it
more
looks,
frag tanks, and so I'm excited to, you know, always look forward to those days when, you know, you get done with work and you head on over
oh yeah,
and you visit
absolutely.
them. Well, thank you so much, Angel. I truly appreciate you having me over and looking at your tanks. You have definitely just mastered this hobby, you know, with different uh, tanks, and you have so many different selections of fish and corals, and so I'm extremely grateful. And if you guys want to, you know, support and follow Angel, I'll leave his Instagram down in the comments section, and I'll also pop it up right in the on the video.
I appreciate that.
You know, you constantly post on there and give updates, and you know, this is what this community is all about, understanding how you run your tank and being able to hopefully somebody else taking something away from that, you know,
Absolutely.
and they contribute that into their tank. So I really appreciate it, Angel. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your time.